All right, so welcome to Elaine's Literary Salon. I'm excited today to have Monisha Longacre with us. She's a seasoned operations executive, entrepreneur, and author of Practical Productivity, a guide to surviving life's juggling act. With over 3 decades of experience scaling and optimizing technology businesses, she brings a uniquely practical approach to both organizational and personal effectiveness. As COO of multiple SaaS companies, she has consistently driven innovation and growth while maintaining operational excellence. Throughout her career, Monisha has bridged the worlds of technology and consumer experience at industry leaders, including The Weather Channel, McKesson, EY, and Lotus Development. Her entrepreneurial spirit has led her to found several successful ed tech and HR tech startups, including Productivity 101, where she provides expertise and tools to help professionals maximize their effectiveness. She's also the creator of Priorigami, that's a cool name,
Oh, thank you.
by the way. The Art of Productivity, a task management mobile app that enables her practical approach to getting things done. A graduate of the University of Virginia with a bachelor's degree in communications and Boston University with a master's in corporate public relations. I'm a BU grad from undergrad too.
Excellent, so. Go Terriers.
There you go. Monisha combines deep technical knowledge with exceptional communication skills. She's actively involved in women's leadership development, serving in key positions across multiple networking organizations. Based in Atlanta, Georgia, where she lives with her husband and occasionally returning adult children, Monisha constantly seeks new experiences to add to her bucket list. When not optimizing productivity or mentoring the next generation of women leaders, she can be found traveling, reading, or testing new productivity strategies in her own life. You can connect with Monisha on LinkedIn and follow Productivity 101 on LinkedIn or Facebook. For more productivity updates and tips, please welcome Monisha Longacre.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here. And thank you all for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it.
So we'll just hold this up a little close for the people in the room. I'm really excited to talk to you today because I love it when people are super productive. And it's one of the things when we counsel authors here that always comes up. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit of what's the book about? Just give us a little synopsis.
So a lot of productivity books are very prescriptive, and they tell you this is how to do things or the best way to do things. And I realized that when I was trying to struggle with my own productivity, I tried to read them all. And not everything works exactly like we plan it or it says. And I realized that maybe it would be better if we wrote a summary of all these different tactics and strategies and ideas and let people figure out what works best for them. And so it literally is a summary of all the best of the thinking that's out there, written in short 2 to 3 page chapters, because we don't have time to read a book, right? If we're trying to be more productive, the last thing we can do is read a 450-page book. So it's designed to be really easy to digest with a try this concept that you can try yourself. If it works for you and makes things easier, great. If it doesn't, move on, try something else. The other thing that we wanted to do deliberately was not have it so that you have to read cover to cover, that you can pick it up and really read the thing that you're struggling with at the time, or pick up 1 or 2 tips to try and then come back to it later. And help guide you and be your little personal productivity partner on your bookshelf.
So it's not that all these other productivity books were getting it wrong, they just were taking maybe little slices or slivers of what they should be doing, and there wasn't one place for somebody to find everything.
Right, or it was just, hey, this is how you should do it. And I don't think that it works for everybody the same way, right? Because a lot of it is trial and error. A lot of it is this feels good or this feels like work. I think a lot of productivity strategies, and the reason I really don't even like the word productivity, is it makes it feel heavy and it makes it feel like work and it makes it feel boring and like you have more stuff to do. But at the end of the day, you've really got to find things that make it easier for you and that doesn't feel like work, that it just feels routine and it feels natural and helps you really at the end of the day get the things done that you have to do so you can spend more time doing things you love doing, like being here today, enjoying the conversation.
So when you're saying that, I'm thinking of like social psychology. When you're short chapters, trying to get away from the word productivity, right? Did you incorporate some of those ideas in the way that people accept them in social psychology when you wrote this?
Yeah, I think, again, it was more practical social psychology, like really what works and what people are doing. But, productivity, again, seems like it's more, like get more done, get everything done. And it's actually the opposite. It's try doing fewer things and do them well instead of, so it's almost playing on that a little bit differently.
So do you when you're looking at like metrics for like how, wait, there has to be a problem, right? So you have to know that people aren't productive, or they're not as productive as they should be, or they're not maximizing their time. Were you looking at data like behavioral economics? Were you looking at actual data to show that people aren't doing this, or is this just from your experience in all these years of management?
It's how people feel at the end of the day, right? So it wasn't this macro trend thing. It was a very personal thing that so many of us have these long to-do lists or to-dos in a million places, not even on a list, but just feel a lot of pressure to get a lot of things done. And me personally, at the end of the day, if I wasn't finishing everything on my to-do list, I felt terrible. Like, oh my gosh, I've worked really hard, I'm really tired, I've exhausted myself, I'm feeling burnt out, and yet I don't feel like I've accomplished the things that matter. And so then it was like, how do I reframe that? And maybe it's not about finishing your to-do list. Whoever finishes their to-do list, I don't think I've met anybody. It's like, who reads the internet? Who finishes Netflix? That's not a realistic goal. So how do we reset or reframe our minds to say, wait, my goal shouldn't be to finish my to-do list, but make sure I'm doing the things that are gonna have the impact that I want. And prioritize the things that are about self-care and taking care of myself, or doing the things that I love. Because I got caught in this, I need to, check all the boxes and do all the things and have all the titles and you read all this, and I'm like, at the end of the day, I was like, wait, is this really what is fulfilling in my life? If I'm doing all these things and checking all the boxes and not doing the things that I really enjoy. And so resetting that, and letting yourself say, well, these things can go. It's okay if these things don't get done.
So what makes you the person to write this book, right? That people always ask that with fiction. You've got, many years of experience in various management at high levels. I mean, what is it that translates into this for people in their everyday life? It's not necessarily business, right? It's just going about whatever your tasks are in your everyday.
A lot, and I don't want to make a gender comment here, but a lot of our productivity books, like the David Allens of the world, a lot of those experts are white male. And what I wanted to do was bring a real perspective of a woman. Well, it's just different, right? It's just different. It's yeah. Come on. That's what it was.
I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable here.
I know. Well, good thing there's only 2 token male in the room. One white male. No, it was more to do a practical, realistic document of someone who is literally trying to have 10 different hats and trying to get through the day, right? Because so many of these are very philosophical and theoretical. And yes, if my Franklin Planner days, I was a Franklin Planner day, if I could spend 10 hours doing the dots and moving the bullets and putting things on the next page, but that's not real, right? So I really wanted to provide that perspective, which I hadn't gotten in all the reading in the books that I had looked at and researched.
So I feel like I'm going to ask you like the nature versus nurture question here a little bit, because I feel like when you're talking about, I wasn't as accomplished as I wanted to be and do all this, but just from the way you said that, it feels like you had a lot of goals, right? And so how much is a book like this going to draw people that are already like high achievers and are already organized and just want to get even better at it, versus somebody who's just kind of an organizational mess and just churning their wheels?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I think, the first tier were definitely the people who've read the books and want to be more organized, right? But I've gotten really great feedback from those who struggle, saying the thing I liked about this was that it was approachable and it was easy to read, and it was a couple pages and I didn't feel like I had to read the whole book. And again, that was one of the main goals, was to make it so that we could reach the person that doesn't want to read 10 productivity books.
Is it possible, and I know, your answer is obviously yes because you wrote this book, but is it possible to reach those people, the people who are not organized and who are not very efficient or effective in what they're doing, to make them change? Or is that something you could teach someone to learn? And I ask this because I counsel a lot of authors and want to be authors here, and the want-to-be authors are the people who just never will write. Right? It's like there's a very big, you either do it or you don't, and there's 2 types of people.
Yeah.
So how does that work here?
So there are 59 different tips in this book. And I always say, don't do all of them because you'll be crazy like me, and I don't recommend that at all. Find one or two, and that's it. You know, just find the one or two things. So it's not huge change. It's very myopic little small steps that can make a bigger difference. And so one of the things I do from a lot of the workshops I do a lot of corporate training workshops. And at the beginning we talk about, you know, what is one takeaway, one thing that you're struggling with that you want to get out of this hour, because I don't like to waste any time and I don't want anyone to have a wasted hour. And then at the end, I was like, what's one of the things that we've talked about, just one of them that you would actually put into action? And one of them that I get a lot is just the 2-minute rule. So here's just an example. The 2-minute rule states, does anybody know what the 2-minute rule is? Does anybody practice it? So it's a very
means a different
simple
thing for men.
Like I said, for the women wearing many hats, the 2-minute rule simply states that if something that that you need to do is going to take less than 2 minutes, don't write it down, don't think about it, just do it. So everything from taking out the trash to rinsing your dishes to making your bed, like all those little pesky things. Like how many times we're like, oh, we need to take the trash out, and you don't. An hour later, it's still not taken out. An hour later, you're still thinking about it. So if you just did it and moved on, it's amazing how many things can be done in less than 2 minutes. So that's an example of something that is very simple. It's hard to put into practice, but if you do, can have a huge impact on what you're able to do. So I'm not looking for big, huge life changes as much as if you can find one or two little simple things like that, it can go a long way.
So I want to get back a little bit to the people who will accept this advice, because the ones who need it the most are not necessarily the ones who are going to go out and buy a book, right? Like they're the ones who aren't organized and maybe just for whatever reason shun it, right? I know people who when you say like a to-do list, they just shit. So like philosophically, what would you tell them? You mentioned the Franklin planner and some of these philosophical goals. What would you tell them? Why should they be more effective? Why should you choose organization and, to say the P word, productivity? Why should they choose productivity over like a day of leisure?
In fact, I encourage leisure. The thing is that you enjoy your leisure day when you've gotten your things off of your list, more than when you have your leisure day, like it's a Sunday, we're here today, and then you get home and you're like, oh gosh, there's still 7 things I need to do before I go back to the work week, right? So the idea is, how do you get those 7 things taken care of so you enjoy this leisure day and you still don't have that Sunday scaries feeling at the end of the day? Right? So again, it's very much about how do you want to spend your life? How do you want to expend your mental energy? And, worry, I say in the book, is one of the, the things that drains you with no end result. So how do you reframe what you're doing so there's less of the worry and less of the anxiety and more of the, I feel in control of this so I can really enjoy the things that I want to be doing.
Yeah, I love that so much. I couldn't agree more.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. So
there are 2 ways to do it. You choose. It doesn't matter to me. But if you want to get to that place, here are some ways that you can get there.
We interview authors here. So this is your debut,
yes.
Right? So how did it feel, first off, to get the book done? This is a big deal. Like everyone says they have a book in them, but when they finally get one out, it takes a lot of work, right?
Yes. So I've had this book in my head for over 10, 12 years now. And I knew I could write it. I had a blog post. I enjoyed writing it, and I really wanted to kind of get these thoughts into the world. So the writing part didn't scare me, but everything else was very intimidating. Like I was saying, I was like, I didn't know how to design a book, or I didn't know how to get an ISBN number, or I just didn't know how to do those things. So I luckily ran into Ripples Media, they're here today, who does know how to do those things. And so we worked collaboratively, and they were very supportive through that book writing process. And it was fantastic. We learned a lot. It does feel like, birthing another child, but it was one of those things I wanted to challenge myself with, and I'm really happy it's here. And then I realized once you publish your book, there's a whole nother journey that you embark on in terms of promoting it and sharing it, and because it doesn't just come off the shelves magically.
So after 10 years of knowing you wanted to write this, like what made you pull the trigger and do it?
partly meeting somebody, a partner, having a partner to help with that process, and it was a very fulfilling process, was really the trigger that took the idea of it and made it into something we have today.
So let's go into the book a little bit. You have it broken down. Was it about 10 chapters roughly?
There's 6 sections. Yeah.
All right. Let's start with the first. Tell us a little bit about our first step here.
The first step is your time, I think it was. I was like, I can't even remember how it's broken down. But the idea is that, we all have finite number of hours in the day, right? And we're all trying to do too many things. It doesn't even matter who you are. There's always more things to do than there is hours in the day. And so many of us spend our hours trying to manage our time, right? How many of you use a calendar? We all use calendars. How many of you managing your tasks and priorities? Fewer. But at the end of the day, we can't really manage time. We can't make it go faster. We can't stop it. We can't create more of it. So the thought is, instead of trying to manage time, manage the things you can actually control. And that is your priorities, your energy, and your attention. And the attention part's getting really, really hard with technology and with everything binging and pinging, and the amount of distractions we have, and the fact that our brain's attention spans are getting much, much shorter is really impacting a lot of this. So then that really falls into what comes in the rest of the book about how do you do those things.
And you talk about time blocking in that. So what does that mean?
Time blocking is, again, if you don't run your day, the day will run you, right? So if you don't say intentionally, this is how I want to use my time every day, guess what? 24 hours goes by and you don't even know what happened to it. Like, it just went away. So the idea is, we're really good at putting our meetings on our calendar, right? Things that you're going to do, activities. In the same way, take the priorities that you have for the day and block time to do those. Because if you've got 8 hours of meetings and you've got 18 things that you want to get done that day, guess what? It's not going to happen. It's just not realistic. There's not enough time. So I recommend taking your to-do list, but only picking 3 things, the magic number 3. And then you feel accomplished because you can get 3 things done. You can't get 18 things done. And if you take those 3 things and block time to take care of those during the day and just kind of follow your schedule, your likelihood of success is a lot greater than if you have a long list of 18 things.
You talk about multitasking too, right?
Yes.
In time, and the perils of that. So a lot of people I talk to, especially effective people, think they can multitask.
Yes.
Okay, tell me.
I'm one of the worst. I literally try to multitask all the time, and what I've had to learn to do is stop myself and say, wait, pick one, because it actually takes longer and the quality of your work is lesser. So I'm like, why are we trying to do these 2 things at the same time when your brain literally can't focus on 2 things at the same time? When you try to do it, you're literally context switching, which creates exhaustion. So you've gotten a lesser product done, it's taken you longer, and you're more exhausted. That doesn't sound good at all, right? So now it's like, okay, when I find myself doing it. So a great example is I'll be watching a TV show, and if the phone goes off and I get a text, I'll go answer the text. 10 minutes later of texting, and I have no idea what's happened in the show, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what's the benefit of that? So now I've had to train myself to say, oh, there's a text. Now, do I pause the show or do I wait to answer the text? Right? It's an easy decision, but at least I'm choosing which one takes priority and not trying to do both. And then on the flip side, there are things that you can do very well, multitasking, like I can read a book and drink a glass of wine. So, or you kind of fold laundry and I can watch a TV show. I just can't fold laundry and watch a webinar at the same time. I mean, watch TV and watch a webinar at the same time.
Oh, isn't there I think it's like 5 to 7 minutes or something in between tasks, or to get back into like a deep focus. So
yes.
You're really setting yourself back, right? So understanding that, why do so many people think they can do it?
Because you just feel like, oh, well, I'll just do this and this and it'll be done quicker and I'll spend less time. But that's actually not what is happening.
You mentioned the to-do list. I know a lot of people who just, as soon as you mention that, they run away, right? So
yes.
How do you get somebody who's not using a to-do list to start doing that?
Yeah. I think the biggest problem with a to-do list is everyone creates one, and then it gets too overwhelming. They don't feel accomplished, and they abandon it, right? So what I talk about is the key is not creating a to-do list, it's cultivating your to-do list. And it's like, think about it about gardening. How many people can just go out into a garden, plant seeds, and then have a beautiful garden without doing anything more to it? Nobody. You got to tend to it, you got to prune it, you got to water it, you got to do all the things. And a to-do list is very similar, right? So you have to continually look at it, continually prioritize. I also talk about the lingering task, and every now and then, if there's a task on your list that's been there forever, take it off, right? Everybody adds to their to-do list, but take things off your list just to make you feel better about it. Because if it's not happening, there's a reason. Either it's too big, it's too overwhelming, or it's not important. Or like really think about, why is this not getting done? Sometimes it's too big, so you have to break it down into smaller tasks, so it's a little more manageable. But we always add to our list, so we don't detract from the list, and that's one of the most important things. Plus, it's also good to add things on the list that you've done, just to check them off, because it's scientifically proven. You get a dopamine hit that makes you feel good, right? So encourage yourself, and then that makes you motivated to do more things.
Can I confess something that's a little embarrassing?
Yes, please do.
I've done a task and then added it to my list so I could check it off.
And that's brilliant. And I encourage that. It makes you feel good, right?
It does.
Yes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I absolutely encourage that, because anything that makes you feel better instead, and again, why people abandon their to-do list, it makes them feel badly, right? I've got all these things to do and I'm not getting them done, and that's why you feel like you're stuck in a rut. So
you have a chapter on stuff too, and what's that? What was that movie about the guy who flies around all the time, and he was like, empty your backpack, or there was a self-help book that he used in that movie. Do you remember the one I'm talking about? It was about efficiency in travel. Does anybody remember that?
I don't remember which one that is.
Up in the Air.
Oh,
Yes, thank you. Up in the Air with George Clooney, right? Yeah, that's a fantastic movie. I used to travel a lot, and so that one resonated with me. But you talk about like why less stuff is more. Explain that to us.
Again, I think in the same vein as the to-do list, we're good at adding stuff, but subtracting is a lot more challenging, right? So it's easier to bring things into your house or into your life, and much harder to make those decisions to let go of things. So I talk about the 3-bin system, which is I always have places for the things that I'm going to donate, the things I'm going to return, the things I'm going to sell, and just make it an ongoing process versus, oh my gosh, I've collected all this stuff, now what am I going to do with it? So just kind of making sure that again, the whole less is more theory, right?
So how does less stuff improve productivity?
So first of all, how many people have spent time, or waste time, I should say, looking for things? Where's this? Where's that? Oh, I know it's here somewhere. Well, if you have less of it, then there's a place for everything. I also believe in everything has a place, so make a home for things, especially things that are just laying around. Make it have a home. If it doesn't have a home, do you really need it? And then it's also, you're thinking less about the stuff that you have. We think a lot about the stuff, and I don't know, what's the value add at the end of the day?
My wife told me she was going to kill me if I told her one more time to put her keys in the same place every day so she wouldn't have to find them.
Think about how much time that takes, right? And we literally have this is where the keys go, you put them there, you never have to look for them ever again. For my son, he was in college and I bought him a bowl. And the idea was when you come into your apartment, you put everything from your pockets in the bowl. And then when you leave, you just grab everything. And I think in the 4 years he moved, everything came and went, but he still has that bowl. And he just got in the habit of everything goes in the bowl, everything I have. I don't have to spend 20 minutes looking for all those things. And
it adds up, doesn't it?
That's what I was going to say, exactly. It's 10 minutes each time, but if you think about it in the long run, how much time you're spending, for anything that you have to find again, it adds up.
And mental energy.
So you could be using on something creative or innovative or different,
Or Netflix.
Or Netflix. Nothing
You
wrong with
mentioned it.
Netflix.
All
Nothing
right,
wrong with
so you
Netflix.
talk about managing your day and scheduling your day. I think you started with the get up and make your bed.
Yes.
Like, tell us how should the effective person manage their day?
So I think the biggest thing is just having your set routine. I talk about bookending your day, which is not in the book, it's on my TikTok channel, but bookending your day, it's really important to figure out how best to start your day and how best to end your day. And again, it's different for everyone, but find what you need. And making your bed, it was Admiral Raver. Did you listen to his speech? He gave a graduation speech at University of Texas. And I mentioned that in the book, but you can Google it. And he literally talks about the importance of making your bed first thing every day because you start on a positive note. You've accomplished your first thing, and that just sets the tone for the rest of your day. And it is proven, if you see now, it's like all the very successful people, accomplished people, technically make their beds every day. And it is one of those things that's very controversial, and I would do like social media polls on this, and it's very polarizing who makes their bed and who doesn't and why. But if you just think about just starting out on a positive note where you've gotten the first task of the day is done, sets your mindset differently than if you don't have that. Now, on the flip side of that, it doesn't have to be making your bed. Find something that sets you off in that way to say, I've started something, I've accomplished something, and I'm in that frame of mind going forward.
I'm still stuck on you didn't put bookending in your book. Like, the irony's kind of thick.
No, it is, right? Well, our publisher said I had to stop writing at some point, and I was like, well, there's so much more. I was like, but I'm not done. There's more to be shared.
So I know a lot of people, when they pick up these books and they're trying to become more efficient and effective, the question always becomes like in balance with life and work. And you mentioned you have a chapter on this. Tell us about that. Like, where should, obviously it's very individual, right? But where should people draw these lines?
It's absolutely individual, but for the longest time, and again, I think, it was where I was in my life. I had 2 young children. My husband was traveling. I was working a pretty demanding job, and I had this sense that I had to really work hard to achieve work-life balance, and I literally, you're gonna laugh, but I took all my tasks and I put them in a spreadsheet and I created this pie chart, and I wanted it to be equal, like a third of this time and a third of this time, and I was gonna just make it perfectly, and it doesn't work that way. I was like, this is not working.
I was getting excited. I love all that.
Yes, and I really was trying. I'm like, obviously there's got to be a way where I can balance it perfectly, and then I was like, this is silly. It's stressing me out. It's not getting me to my end result. And I really thought it was a farce. I'm like, there's no such thing. There's no balance. And then I had to really think about it. And I said, well, I don't have 3 lives to live. I don't have a Monisha work person, a Monisha wife, and mom person. And no wonder I can't figure this out, right? And so I had to reframe it as I really just have one life to live. I'm one person. I have one life to live. And so given that, what are the things that have to take priority in that moment? And some days it's work, and some of the other things have to fall back. And some days, if it has to be family, and I started thinking about it more holistically versus trying to balance competing forces, and had much more calmness as a result of that, and felt a lot happier in what I was achieving than feeling like I was always less than in one of those areas.
So how do you integrate that into like your lists or your daily planning? Like if you're not doing enough for your health, say, or meditation or yoga or whatever exercise you do, how do you balance that with like taking care of your family and work? Like, do you recommend that people prioritize, like actually think about this and itemize? Do they put it into their to-do list so they don't forget it?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Priorigami, it's a free app. We mentioned it earlier. There's a bookmark here you can take for free that has it on there. But the way that it works is you enter your tasks and you categorize them by work, family, personal, but the list you prioritize has all of them. So you don't prioritize them against each other, you prioritize them together. And then I recommend that on certain times, like on a weekend, prioritize some of the personal things that you're not getting to on the weekdays, and treat them like any other task. So, you know, whatever it is that you enjoy, is it taking a walk? Is it getting a massage? Whatever it is, has to have some level of priority against all those really task operational things. Because if you don't take care of yourself and you're not taking care of your mental and physical energy, you won't have the capacity to do the work things, right? You just run out. You get burnt out and you're tired and you're irritable, and nobody wants to be around irritable people, right? So that's how I had to give myself grace to say, gosh, I want to take care of these things because I can just be a better, more productive person if I take care of those things.
Now that you've written this book, do you feel like more responsibility or pressure to be productive and to manage your time better?
No, because I just do it. It just happens, and I enjoy it so much. Like, I could talk about this all day long, and so it just feels, it's almost more validating, if nothing else, right? Like that if there's a way that other people can pick up one or two things and feel some of that, the less stress and less anxiety and not feeling all the time that you have to keep checking all these things off the list, then that's a win.
So like your husband isn't like tabbing the book and leaving it out for you to see when you forget to do something?
Not so far.
So what are the productivity pitfalls that you list in the book? You list a number of them that people tend to fall into.
Yeah, so one is, you know, obviously distractions. The digital distractions is a big thing, especially, with our younger generation where their hand is their phone, right? Like every time they pull out their hand, their phone's in it. So that's obviously a big challenge. For those of us who are working, meetings is a big challenge. I mean, the amount of time that people spend in meetings is just overwhelming. And so I suggest doing meeting audits and really looking at how much time you're spending and for what outcomes and how you can move those and make some suggestions in terms of that. We talked about the phone. We also talked about multitasking is another one that, it really is counterintuitive to what we're actually trying to do. And then procrastination, and I don't think we talked about that one, but a lot of times, we just don't want to do it, and that's okay.
We're going to talk about it later.
Good one. And a lot of times, there's a reason why you're procrastinating, right? So really think about the why. Is it because it's too big? Is it too hard? Sometimes it's because it really doesn't matter. It's like, well, do I really need to be doing this? And then is there a better way to do it? Can somebody else help you with it? Can you make it a team activity? Especially for me, I don't like to walk, but I know I need to, and I make it a friend activity now, right? Oh, well, now I have an accountability partner. Now I'm catching up with a friend. Now it's joyful and I'm enjoying it. So how can you take something that you avoid doing it and turning it into something that you actually enjoy?
Oh, I love that. So, you mentioned like young people with the phones. My parents are in their 80s and they are just tied to their phone all the time. Like, I had to spend time with them like literally the whole time. How do you deal with like all the social media and everyone else is using the science to try to keep people engaged once they get them there, right? The little dopamine hits and things that you mentioned earlier.
That's right.
So like when we're trying to be more productive and we have these tools like a cell phone can be super productive, but also it's the enemy, right? Like
that's absolutely right.
How do you manage your phone specifically?
So one of the things I'm doing for the new year, I always have like an intention word, and my word for this year is focus. Because there's always room for improvement, and so couple of things that I've been talking about doing is with phones especially is first of all get rid of the apps that are eating up your time. You don't need them, right? Like be really deliberate. My son actually took TikTok off of his phone. He's like, I'm wasting way too much time. It's gone. Those are really easy decisions. Hard decisions to make, but nobody has ever told me I took this off my phone and I feel badly and I need it. And you never hear that. You hear the opposite. Or if you don't want to take it off, turn off the notifications, right? As you said, psychologists created all of these apps and this technology to take your attention away. They are designed intentionally to do that. So we have to fight back, right? We have to fight back and say, no, I'm going to be in charge of my attention. and not be controlled by the pings and the dings. Again, nothing happens. If you're not a doctor, no one's dying if you don't get to that ding and ping immediately, right? Especially on social media, especially on those things. And the technology, the phones have gotten so much better now where you can set certain people can get through. You can set do not disturb times. You can set app times. There's so many tools at your disposal now to help you manage that, even if you can't do it yourself. And then the third thing is no phone zones. Everybody's been really good here today. It's like I don't see any phones. But I set times where, like when I walk, I don't take my phone with me. And people are like, wait, what if something happens? Like, everybody else has their phone. I mean, if I fall down, I guarantee you the next person who comes down will have their phone and will let me borrow it. But find the places where you don't need it. You know, sometimes it's just putting it in a drawer, put it in another room, you know, charge it somewhere else. And your brain, I don't know about anybody else, but my brain feels different when my phone is not on me.
Monisha, what happened when you left your phone?
I survived. Yes, and I survived to live to tell about it. It was interesting, though, because I did forget my phone. I didn't have time to go get it. Panic sets in, right? Like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, okay, how am I going to get through this day? And you do reach for it, and there are things that it does make life easier, absolutely. But can you survive without it? Absolutely.
So I'm curious, like with writers, you know, when they come in here, often people are unaware of how they're wasting time. Does your app somehow break it down? I'll tell you something crazy. I've done this several times. Like every few years, I will chart my time throughout the day in 15-minute blocks in an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll write what I did. So if I'm on social media and also I'm like, oh no, I just did that for, I'll have a 30-minute block of social media,
That's brilliant.
and I look at the end of the day and I count up and I see where all the dead space is. Right?
Yeah.
That's a little crazy.
It's
I
not
fully
crazy.
admit
It's
that.
actually brilliant because you get really good at first understanding where your time is going, and then secondly, making good choices about how you want to be spending.
Is there an easier way for people to do that, to realize that they're like, I think the average is like 8 or 10 hours people spend in front of screens now. I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy. There are so many tools that do that now too. You can, I mean, it's almost scary though because they're tracking everything that you're doing. And do you really want to know to that level? Maybe not. But it does help you with the tracking your time. And time blocking will do it too, right? Like even if you put in the things you plan to do, but then I will actually go in and put what I did do. And over a week, quickly you can see where your time's going, especially if you color code it. If you color code your activities, you can get a visual cue into where your time's going that makes it really easy then for you to adjust and say, wow, I'm spending a lot of time in this area that's really not helping me with my big picture goals.
So when I give a talk for writers, I give several different talks, and one of them is sort of the overview, but I end up spending about the first third of it talking about developing writing habit.
Yes.
How important is habit, and what are the tools that you've discovered through all this research to help people develop a habit to make it easier to accomplish the things they're trying to do?
Yeah, so habit forming is really interesting. And it's whether you create a new habit or break a habit, but there are really three pieces of a habit, right? There's a cue or a trigger. There's what you actually do, and then what the reward is. And the reward is also one of the most important parts, but we don't really focus on that. We just really focus on the cue and the trigger, and then actually what we do with it. And you know, there was this thing that said it takes 21 days to create a new habit. It's not as formulaic as that. It's most important is that it's a system. Is that if there's something you want to do, you implement that system where like we were talking about drinking water, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I need to drink more water. Well, the cue is you're feeling thirsty, right? So then you want to make it so that water is really conveniently located and it's right there. And then also make, you know, buy yourself a fancy water bottle, or, you know, do something that's going to make it that's what you're going to reach for. But then still reward yourself with a soda at the end of the week or something, you know, so that you're not completely depriving yourself or making yourself miserable by creating this new habit. But you're getting both, right? I've drank 2 liters of water every day and I still got to enjoy my Coke.
There's a lot of behavioral economics behind that too, right? Making it easy so you don't actually need to expend willpower to get to something. It's like putting out your running shoes right next to your bed so you can roll out of bed and put them on.
Ease and convenience can change and create habits really quickly. And then you were talking about writing groups. The other thing that we talk a lot about, and I think it's getting harder with this short attention spans, is using the Pomodoro technique. And the Pomodoro technique, it was named after the Pomodoro tomato that used to be the kitchen timer. But you set 20 minutes, it's actually 25. I don't do 25, I do 20 minutes of focused effort. And I do time blocking. So for writing, it's like, okay, I'm going to write for 2 hours. I'm going to use the Pomodoro technique where I'm writing for 20 minutes straight. And that means I'm not checking my email, I'm not opening tabs, I'm not checking my phone. And it is so amazing how much thoughtful work you can get in 20 minutes if you're not trying to do 10 other things. It's really eye-opening. Now, when you first start doing that, that 20 minutes seems forever. Like, you're like, how long has it been? Oh, it's been 2 minutes. But when you get in that trained habit of your brain saying, look, I'm going to stick with it, it's really remarkable how much you can get done, and quality-wise, too. And then you take a 10-minute break and then do it again. So 20, 10, 20, 10. And you can write a whole book.
There are a lot of techniques I've read about, like work sprints and things like that,
Yeah.
but it can also take a lot of time to get into focus, right? To the deep focus. So if you're in flow and you're writing, maybe it takes you 10 minutes or however long if you're lucky.
Yes.
Do you stop at 20 minutes then, regardless, even if you just hit the flow?
So I believe in the go with the flow. I think we talked, somebody was like, oh, there's the go with the flow. It's like, if you're writing and it's going, go, keep going. And then there are other times where I've scheduled time to do it and it's not coming, I move things around and don't waste my hour because it's just not coming. It's just not, I'm not in the flow. So what I'll do is I'll take that and say, okay, what can I do now instead? And then move my writing time to another time where, try again. And I also do double or nothing. So I'll block time to do something. And if it's really critically important, I'll block a second time. So, just to make sure it happens. And if it doesn't happen in that first block because things come up, you still have a backup plan, right? And if you do it in the first block, then it opens up this hour or whatever, however you saved, and it's like finding money in your pocket, right? It's great. It's like, oh, I've got all this free time now. So that works really well.
So I want to dig into that a little bit with your process, because this is a literary podcast. We have a lot of writers who do this. So do you write, when you wrote this book, did you write every day?
Not every day, but almost every day. So it wasn't religiously because I was also working and doing other things. But it would be at the beginning of the week, I'd look at my week and slot in times at least 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. I mean,
Did you
pretty
find,
consistently.
Were you more effective if you had days back to back, or if you had a shorter amount of time in between writing sessions?
I don't think that mattered as much as, it didn't matter as much when I was doing it and how often, but it was the quality of that time.
And you mentioned the writing block. So how long would that block be total for writing?
For me, it was like about 2 hours at the most. I didn't do long sprints.
And was it all time-based, or did you have like a page or word count you try to get to, or finish a scene or a chapter here? How did you gauge progress?
It was definitely by chapters, and again, my chapters are short, but I would block by time, and then in that time block, I would mostly do one at a time. I don't think I did more in the, I'd go write it, and then cut and edit and go back. I don't think I did sprints where I worked on more than one concept at a time.
And so back to behavioral economics, did you write in the same place every time, or
No.
were you able to write wherever?
Yeah, I wrote in different places, which I think helped for me. It was like, oh, more creative space, or just, I don't know, it didn't matter where I was. I'd be outside, I'd be inside, it was wherever I ended up being.
And do you listen to music when you write? I'm always
No.
curious about that.
I
You need
can't
dead
do it.
silence or white noise?
It was
or what?
quiet. It was quiet, or background noise, but no, I can't, because if I'm listening to music, then I have that multitasking, context switching thing happening, and that's not, obviously doesn't work very well.
They actually have like coffee shop apps where you can have that background
Yes.
noise, and it makes you more creative. There's real science behind that.
And again,
I don't remember why.
I think it depends on who you are and how you work, right? And understanding that and noticing those patterns. Like, yes, if I'm in a coffee shop and there's this background noise and words are flowing and I'm more creative, or with music, same thing. But especially when it comes to reading or writing, I need to focus on reading and writing.
And did you write in Word or Scrivener, or what tools did you use to put this together, the first manuscript?
I just used a Google Doc. Very simple. Keep it simple.
And when you were doing this, did you when you decided, okay, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to publish, did you go out and try to find an agent, or did you go straight to your publisher? Or walk us through like what your thinking was, because there's so many avenues now.
There are, and honestly, I had this book in my head for a very long time. I had a blog, but I knew how to write it. I didn't know what to do with it. And somebody in my network then, Jeff Hillmeyer, founded Ripples Media. And so I reached out to him one day on a whim, and I just said, hey, we've met a long time ago. In the interim, things have happened, and you founded this publishing company. I have this idea. And he connected with me, with Andrew, and then the rest kind of came together really easily. I was very intimidated about the whole publishing process. It wasn't like, you hear horror stories about printing and mailing all these manuscripts to all these publishers, and they sit on desks and you just get rejected and rejected and rejected, and that process just seemed so anti what I wanted to do, even though I wanted to write a book. So that I was really thankful that part worked out.
And what did, tell us about the editing iterations, how does it work with your publisher?
So the way that it works is I had my rough draft manuscript, and we actually collaborated even on the development of the manuscript. And then there were 2 rounds of editing, and then they bring to the table the editors, the designers for the cover and the book. I was saying they get the ISBN numbers because I don't know how to do that. I still don't know how to do that, but I have 3 of them now.
It's braggy.
It is. I actually
How
said
many
that.
do you have?
How many ISBN numbers, or do you even have an ISBN number? So it was, and what I really enjoyed about that was I could bring to the table what I knew in my subject area expertise, and they could couple that with theirs. So it was a real win-win.
What was the most surprising thing going through that, from the writing through the finding a publisher and the production? Because everyone has this idea of the author in their head, and it usually doesn't resemble reality in any way.
Yeah, no, I thought I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would. And I think, a lot of times you hear about how the drudgery of writing a book, and that the surprising thing for me, it didn't feel like that at all. And I was like, oh, I didn't want it to end. Like I was telling Andrew, I was like, wait, I can't write more. He's like, no, you're done. You're good. It's good.
You have other businesses too, right? Do you want to tell us a little bit? Tell us about the app, and where can people find it, and why should they get it? So
for me, I had tried so many to-do list apps, and there's so many different tools you can use, but everything felt like work. And I'm like, it defeats the whole purpose of trying to keep track of my to-dos is one more to do. So I created this app honestly because I wanted to use it. Because it was like, of the best, this is what is going to work best for me. It is free. It's available on Android and iPhone in the app stores. And again, it's one of those things where this tool may not work for everybody, but that's why I put it out there as an option. And it's just baked into my DNA now. This is just how I track and prioritize, and it has the psychology built into it. So instead of when you check off something, there's a sound, and you can choose your sound. So whatever kind of floats your boat or motivates you, you can choose. And then it tracks progress, and the idea of the don't break the chain, 3 tasks a day. It'll keep your streak going. So then it motivates you because you don't want to break the chain, you don't want to break your streak, and then it create stats, like how many tasks you're doing and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I built it. But again, it was just kind of something that, give back, and if it can help somebody, great.
How did you build it? Did you bring in a developer, or did you do it yourself?
I wrote all the requirements and everything, and then I have a developer in South Africa actually who codes it for me.
And did you give us the website for it?
You can go to productivity101.biz, has the book and the app. You can get to it from there, or you can just search Priorigami in the App Store.
And you also do consulting and workshops and things.
Yeah, so
how do people get to you for that, and what are they?
Yeah, so basically I was finally relaunched my website and was able to tell my story that, it seems like I'm doing lots of little bits and pieces, but what I'm really doing is helping individuals, teams, and organizations stop managing time and start mastering priorities. And the way that I'm doing that is personally through the book and the app. So those are personal productivity tools, and then I do a lot of team workshops, and then organizationally do COO consulting work, and literally look at bottlenecks and misalignments and the people, processes, and systems that are helping companies get things done and getting in the way of getting things done. So,
and to what extent is that related to this book, right? Because it's different, it's right, corporate structure, but are some of the fundamental principles in this book that people use in everyday life the same?
Yeah, again, it's prioritizing, right? Really looking at how you're looking at your time. A lot of it is doing less. I think a lot of companies try to get in trouble because they're just trying to do too many things, and then they get frustrated because nothing's coming out on the other end, right? So a lot of the fundamental philosophies are very simple, but the applications obviously are a little different.
With the other one was the workshops, right? That you're doing those separately. Are those something that you're doing, you're setting up, or you're doing it through a company?
I'm doing it by myself. Finding different organizations and then literally trying. So one group I'm doing next week is women entrepreneurs. And it's a group, a collective of artists and different women, artisans mostly. You know, what's really hard for entrepreneurs, especially those who have worked in corporate, you all of a sudden have this green field, right? You have every opportunity in front of you, and they get stuck on, how do I choose what to do first? And how do I say no? And how do I time block? And how do I prioritize? And how do I hold myself accountable, right? When you've got a boss, they're setting priorities and giving you deadlines. When you're owning your own business, that goes away. And it gets really challenging to feel like, what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs is they're working really, really hard, they're burnt out, they're tired, and they're not getting the results they want. So I will help them work through that.
So I'm curious, because you've worked with all these corporations, and now you're talking about like creatives. Do you see a difference in like people who are super creative, like producers, in how they deal with the business side of things? Because I certainly see this with authors.
Absolutely, and the reason I get so excited about it is because, again, little things can help them so have such an impact for them, because they've got brilliant ideas and they have all the will in the world, but they're really struggling. They really struggle with the application and the execution part of it, and it feels so overwhelming a lot of times to the creatives, right? Like, I've got these ideas. I was talking to this one lady, and she was absolutely fabulous, and I enjoyed talking to her. But she just had more and more and more ideas. And she was like, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and then this, and this, and this, and this. I said, wait, time out. Those are all fantastic ideas, but you're not going to be able to do them all, right? So then we gave her the Eisenhower matrix on how to prioritize some of them. I'm like, pick 3. And if you get 3 done, you can do 3 more, and you can do 3 more, and you'll get them all done, but you can't do them all at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. So I have one more question. I'm going to come around if anybody has questions, and I'll come around with the microphone. Have you found anything that works now that your book is out in marketing? Because it's so difficult, right? You have this great product. How do you get it into people's hands when there's 3 million books a year coming out?
So I haven't found a golden nugget, but I am not afraid to try anything. So trying this kind of thing, I've been doing the workshops, I've been doing a lot of different things, and it's been a wonderful learning experience. I've gotten to meet some really great people, and I'm just continuing to talk to anybody who will listen.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to come around. Are there anybody have a question over here?
Oh gosh.
I'll just hold this for you so it comes out.
Now I'm nervous.
Okay, so as the mother, I get to have the first question and comment. So happy to be here with Monisha. Your father would have loved this moment. He always knew his daughter, Monisha, was going to climb the mountain, do good, and we see it today. So, your child, you teach them, but here's the mother learning from the child. And last year, about this time, I was trying to sell the house and move into a smaller space, and Miss Monisha would call and say, okay, so how's it going today? And I'm saying, oh, I'm really overwhelmed. And she'd say, Mommy, you can't eat an elephant. Yes. you do small bites and you learn to accomplish more. So as a mother, I'm trying this practical productivity every day. So I make a list and it's prioritizing.
Ooh.
So that's how I'm learning. And bless you, and you have far more, many books to come out. All the best.
Thank you.
If you do a children's book, you should title it "You Can't Eat an Elephant." Any questions over here?
So thank you for teeing me up. Oh, what am I doing?
I'll hold it.
Oh, okay. So my question is, I want to do all of it, right? And so
Yes.
now that there are, and I, remember some of the techniques that I was like, oh, I should do that, I should do that. So now my problem is, how do I not ineffectively try to do it all, because every new system I put in place is going to take time and effort. And so how do I pace myself with, I'm going to manage my time, I'm going to manage my stuff, I'm going to, how do I not eat 50 elephants at a time?
That's a great question.
That's what my instinct is like. All right, here we go. And then in 2 days, it's going to be like, well, that was fun.
Yeah. It's a great question, Kathy, because again, I think especially those of us who are like, oh, that's a great idea, I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that, right? And I think I had said earlier, I said, don't do everything in this book. You don't want to try to do it all. And even when Andrew and I were editing it, I think at one point in it, I said, if you're done, stop reading. Like, don't read anymore and put it down. But what I would recommend is you take one, no more than 2 things. And once you actually start practicing and it becomes rote, where you don't think about it anymore, then you can do another one. And it will. Like the 2-minute rule, I never think about it. You just do it. So you will get to a point where it just becomes second nature, and you're doing it, and it's ingrained in how you operate during the day. And then you can be like, okay, now I'm ready to tackle another thing. But yeah, I don't think it would be very helpful to try to do it all at once.
Thank you, and that helps. And it reminds me, I just want to share one bird at a time, I think is what Anne Lamott
Yes,
said. So
bird by
we're not
bird.
going to eat an elephant, or what is it? I don't know. We're not going to
Yeah.
eat an elephant all at a time, and it's going to be one bird at a time. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
But where do I start?
It doesn't matter. Where are you feeling the most pain?
Everywhere.
Oh. Okay. Then we use an Eisenhower matrix, urgent and important, and figure out which one would have the biggest value. What would have the biggest impact and value to you?
Thank you. Perfect.
And if you want to eat one bird at a time, we do have chicken on the menu. Anybody over here? Okay.
Oh, here we go. A lot of questions on this side.
Very important book. Thanks so much
Oh, thank you.
for putting this on paper finally. So I am an entrepreneur. We have a startup company. And as the CEO and the COO, in concept, the question I would have is rabbit holes.
Yes.
You time block, you have all these intentions, but then as you go and work on the priorities, you see all these rabbit holes that you can dive into and get lost in them. How do you pull yourself out, and how do you ensure that those rabbit holes don't get lost, because you do need to address them at some point?
Have you heard of the parking lot? So when the minute you find yourself spending a lot of time on the things that weren't on your to-do list or weren't time blocked, don't get rid of them. There may be something there. So create a parking lot. Create a place, a safe place. I also call it the someday list sometimes. Is the place that there are like all these ideas, all these potential opportunities. You don't know how much value they have because you haven't been able to explore them. But you don't want to lose them, like you said. So you put them on the someday list, you put them on this parking lot, and then block time to explore the parking lot, right? And then give yourself that focused time to be like, okay, what are these other areas? What is this rabbit hole? Is there something really there? But don't let it detract from your priorities that you've already chosen, right? The other thing you can do, if you find something that does have that, then you reprioritize and say, well, this thing that I thought was really the big, opportunity really may not be, and I really want to explore this other thing, which is totally okay. I think a lot of us, especially when you're in entrepreneur land, you think that you have to have the straight and narrow answer and strategy all the time, and you go straight, and it doesn't work that way. a lot of companies, their big aha is one of those rabbit holes, right? So you don't want to ignore them, but you want to make sure that it's a deliberate decision to focus on that versus something else. Does that help? Parking lot.
Questions over here?
To thank you so much for sharing all of this wisdom. I'm definitely going to buy your book.
Thank you.
But one of the issues that I'm dealing with right now, and Hope is familiar with it, I have discovered a bottleneck in a nonprofit that I'm working in. And it took me a year to figure out where the bottleneck was. Is that typical? And then what do you do about it? Like I'm trying to do it as a win-win so that we can work around the bottleneck, or I mean, ultimately I'd like to remove it, but I'm not in corporate America anymore. You can't just walk up and do like, you're fired.
And nonprofits have a life of their own, for sure.
Right. So how do you do that? How do you approach it?
Well, that's what my consulting business is a lot about, is going in, and sometimes it does take a year. So I do go into companies and I'll do an initial assessment, right? Like, where are you operationally? Where are your bottlenecks? What are you struggling with? Are you struggling with execution? Do you need to pivot? Do you need, that's a lot of what's happening. A lot of companies are having to do a pivot, which is hard. And you can't see it on the inside, right? Because you're living it day in, day out. You don't have that clarity. But I don't think there's a timeline for that assessment. It really depends situationally on the organization and the people there and what they're trying to grapple with. And then it's change management, right? So once you assess and we find kind of where the challenges are, where the bottlenecks are, what's getting in their way, then it's trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I, right the ship, so to speak. And again, there's no timeline or one answer. It really depends. But I definitely, from a methodology perspective, look at people, processes, and systems, right? Like, how are those three things working together? And then, try to help them see a better future, very much rooted in helping them get to their results, right? Because people are saying, I've got these business goals, I'm not achieving them. To get there, these are the things you need to do. Because they won't change for change's sake, and that won't happen.
Time for one more question. Here we go.
Thank you so much, Monisha. This has been great.
Thank you.
I am in a transition period of my life, so I still work full-time, 40 plus hours a week, but I also started a business in November. And so I've been kind of towing the line between burnout just because I'm doing so much necessarily. So I was wondering if you had some advice on how to prioritize and balance when there's, I can't stop things necessarily because I'm pivoting and moving, but I still don't want to necessarily be overwhelmed constantly.
Congratulations, that's very exciting. And I think I did the same thing. I was trying to do both, and I know how difficult it is, and yet hats off to doing it, because it's so rewarding. Like, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the best thing you'll ever do. And then I just had to keep reminding myself, especially when my brain would go to, I have all these ideas for my business, I want to do all these things, and you just can't because you don't have the time. And you do have to take care of yourself, so you can't do it all at once. And it really was picking one or two things at a time. So it sounds so obvious. It's not obvious, and it's not easy, right? But if you just pace yourself, you're going to get better results than trying to do it all at once and wearing yourself out.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have books here for sale, correct?
I do. Yes, I do.
So she'll be signing up here.
Yes.
I'll just move this out of the way, and people can come up and get your book signed. The book is
Fantastic.
Practical Productivity. I always ask people, if you have a moment, just go into Amazon and rate it for her. That makes a big difference, having a bunch of reviews.
It makes all the difference.
And it takes like 30 seconds, so please do it. And if you like what we're doing here at Elaine's Literary Salon, please do the same for us on Open Table or Google or wherever you rate restaurants. We'd really appreciate it. Monisha, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
This has been lovely. Good luck with the book.
I appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. This is great. Well, thank you.